Our opening words this afternoon are by David White. You must learn one thing. The world was made to be free in. Give up all the other worlds except this one to which you belong. Sometimes it takes darkness and the sweet confinement of your aloneness to learn anything, or anyone that does not bring you alive is too small for you. Now some announcements. If you're new and would like to receive the newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of our welcome team or write to us at info@lcuuf.org. Are there any members of the welcome team here? So please stand up. There they are. I want to take a moment to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's visiting us, whether you're visiting with us for the first time or have returned or reconnected with us after a long absence. As we pass the mic, I invite you to say your name, tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box and it will be read aloud in the fellowship. We'll start with people in the room. Any new? Yeah, I don't know you. The mic on?
My name is Cheryl Inglis. I'm here with my husband, Keith, and we go to the Naples UU congregation in Florida, and we're scoping out the area to move here.
Hello, I'm Jeff Hearns. I attend the Mount Diablo UU Church in Walnut Creek, California.
I know that area.
Hello. My name is Norma, and it's my first time at church. Happy to be here.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Norma, where are you from?
Texas.
Texas, okay. And Kamala?
Hello, my name is Chris Rapp, and this is my husband, Jim Reeves, and we just closed on our house here in Ajijic last week. We were members of the Naples Unitarian Church with Cheryl and Keith, and
You can't get away.
only here for a week, and then we're back to Ohio, but we'll be back in October.
Okay, welcome. Where's your house?
In Villanova.
Villanova. You'll be our neighbors. Yeah, okay. Anyone else in the room? Anyone on Zoom?
There is no one on Zoom today that is new.
Okay. Welcome to all our visitors and newcomers, both in person and on Zoom. Here at LCUUF, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, Reverend Matt Alspaugh, who's up north currently. We hope you'll return to sample this variety of thought and belief. Now we're about to light the chalice. So our chalice lighting words today are by Sean Gibson. We light our chalice in the spirit of transformation. Nothing stays the same. Everything is moving, shifting, changing, guiding us all to a wild and holy vision of our shared humanity. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together. We kindle this light in celebration for the life that we share. Each week, we come together to lament with, celebrate with, and care for one another in our community. Love is not only at the center of our UU values, it is also the opening that invites us to lament, celebrate, and care as we briefly share these personal joys, sorrows, and our milestones. There is power in the sharing as we hold each other in community. Just a sentence or two is enough. We will start with the folks in the room to give those on Zoom a chance to type in. And their words also will be read out loud in the fellowship. As the mic is passed, please share your sorrows, whatever you may be holding, that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. and or your joys, whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes within you a feeling of joy, peace, or gladness. Are there joys and sorrows in the room?
My joy is going to the No Kings rally yesterday. I was very happy to know that there was one here.
Yeah.
Because we're missing the one up in Florida where we're from. So I shared the pictures with our fellow Floridians.
Thank you.
I'm Johannes Bjorner. This is my wife, Susanne Bjorner. And we had a great joy. Last Sunday, we celebrated our 57th anniversary.
Trying to do the math. Any others? Not, oh, there's one. Mike.
Yes, I'm going to ditto what the last lady said about going to the
Rally.
yes, the rally yesterday over at the square. And it was amazing. The turnout was very, and just it was incredible. Because I didn't expect to see that many people in the rain. And it was wonderful to see people with signs, and it was just great. Yeah, I loved it.
Is it Kamala? Kamala right here.
Hello, everyone. My name is Kamala, and about 3.5 weeks ago, I was walking to the store and I fell. So I seriously bruised all of my ribs, twisted my leg, and sprained my foot. So I have been at house rest for almost a month, and today is my very first day coming to something social. So it's a great joy.
Yes, it is. I have just a tiny joy. I'm joyful for the rainy season starting once again, and that there are no leaks in our roof. Any joys and sorrows on Zoom?
Yes, Terry Rawson has a big sorrow. A good friend of his, Chad Hughes, passed away unexpectedly last weekend. Terry misses his humor and storytelling and just his sweet energy so very much. And then Liz Hill has a joy and a concern. Her niece Beth in Colorado had the first of 2 serious hip surgeries. Number 1 was a success, and the second, which is more complicated, is tomorrow. Liz is thinking of her and appreciates our good thoughts. Mike Blanco, sorrow for the violence in Minnesota last week. And that is it.
Okay. And this candle from our care team, we light to represent the joys and sorrows spoken and witnessed today, as well as those we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. And, okay. Let us share a moment of silence. As we know, the work of our fellowship within these walls and beyond takes our time, treasure, and talents. The offering we take each Sunday is an opportunity to recommit to this place and to all these people. It is as much a ritual as lighting our chalice. It's a reminder of that form of love we call generosity. It is how we show that we believe it is important to worship together, to help our community, and to say yes to the values of our faith. As we pass the baskets, if you're new here today, or you are struggling to hold things together, please let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. And here come our baskets. Please know that we give the money collected at the service to an organization providing services to our lakeside community. This month, we will be donating the basket to Tepewa. The description is on the monitor. We take to heart these words by Kristen Collins. We give to remind ourselves how many gifts we have to offer. We give to remember that we are part of something bigger than ourselves. We give because we believe in music and sacred space. We give with the faith that together we have enough. May this offering sustain and grow the life and work of this congregation. May we give in love and in hope for a better world. Opening hymn is Just As Long As I Have Breath. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing.
Just as long as I have breath, I must answer yes to life. Though with pain I make my way, still with hope I meet each day. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to life. Just as long as vision lasts, I must answer yes to truth. In my dream and in my dark, always that elusive spark. If they ask what I did well, tell them I said yes to truth. Just as long as my heart beats, I must answer yes to love. Disappointment pierced me through, still I kept on loving you. If they ask what I did best, tell them I said yes to love.
Today's reading is a poem called Mastery by Sarah Teasdale. I would not have a God come in to shield me suddenly from sin and set my house of life to rights, nor angels with bright burning wings ordering my earthly thoughts and things. Rather my own frail guttering lights, wind blown and nearly beaten out. Rather the terror of the nights and long, sick groping after doubt. Rather be lost than let my soul slip vaguely from my own control. Of my own spirit, let me be in soul, though feeble, mastery.
Good morning. So, 3 months ago, Matt, our minister, who is not here now, talked about changing and unchanging faith. And he spoke about the prosperity gospel, about televangelists telling their faithful that if they don't have enough money, it's because they don't have enough faith in Jesus. Worse, from my perspective as a pediatrician, they tell their believers that if they get sick, it's because they don't have enough faith. The faithful are told to blame themselves not only for their poverty, but for their illnesses, not only for their own diabetes, but for their child's congenital heart disease. That filled me with anger disgust, and more than a little bewilderment. How is it possible that people believe such messages, especially with respect to their children? Well, I realized that their faith is simply the way those particular people try to cope with the intense fears and anxieties all of us face every day. We all encounter the same questions, don't we? Do I have any control over my brief time here? Any at all? What purpose does my life really have? How do I explain what happens to me? What has happened to me? An explanation? Am I owed one? So Matt spoke last week about free will from both a theologic and a scientific perspective. And today, I'd like to do something a little different. I'd like to reflect on our human experience of the world, its predictability and its randomness, and how those two antithetical constructs make us, or at least make me, feel out of control. This is particularly intense for me because my life was spent treating disease. And paradoxically, illness is both highly predictable and terrifyingly random. For 40 years, I tried to help parents navigate the twin terrors that arise from this reality. And then we'll double back to the issue of free will, and we'll end up by asking if there's a different way to view our predictability and the unforeseeable events that we must inevitably experience, a way that celebrates our unique humanness. Predictability. Let's explore this word for a moment with a question. And this is the moment of audience participation. Where will you be and what will you be doing on January 11 next year at 12:15 p.m. and how certain are you of that? Out of curiosity, I really mean this, January 11 next year at 12:15, if you're pretty sure you know the answer for yourself, raise your hand. Now, since you're not sure, I'll give you a data point. January 11 is a Sunday. Now, can you be reasonably certain of where you'll be? And if so, raise your hands. Right? Most of what we do and much of what we experience is astonishingly predictable. And here are several examples. Amazon, the evil corporation we all can't avoid, right? Algorithm of Amazon is capable of guessing not only what you're interested in and whether you'll buy it, but also specifically when you will place the order. That knowledge allows Amazon to pre-ship the product to a nearby depot, so it's effectively waiting for you before you even click on the purchase button or work out that you needed it in the first place. Right now, in a depot in Boston, there's an inflatable sex toy with your name on it waiting for you to realize that you need it. And Amazon knows that next Thursday, your moment will arrive, okay? Target. Target went one step further, and this one blew me away when I read about it. They used purchase data, demographic information, and complex analytical tools to predict who was pregnant before they had given birth, and on occasion before the woman in question knew she was expecting. Think about that, okay? So Target can buy specific items for a woman who may not even know they're pregnant yet. Now, sometimes disease is remarkably predictable. So I'm going to show you two slides about one of the most famous case studies in the history of infectious disease. You might think infections are unpredictable. You would be wrong. So, the Faroe Islands, if you look, you can see a tiny set of islands above the Shetlands, about halfway between Iceland and Norway, in the middle of the North Atlantic. And until the mid-20th century, rarely did traffic come from neighboring countries except for fishing boats and the occasional freight hauler. Because of this, the islands were also very isolated from germs. The upshot? Someone from the mainland would arrive with measles, and all I want you to see is the periodicity of this. Someone would arrive from the mainland with measles, and because measles is the most communicable infectious disease on the planet, the entire archipelago would get infected, and their mortality rate was 3 out of 100, 3%. For the next 30 years, almost no one would get sick on the island because they'd all been exposed. They were all immune. And then the cycle would repeat itself with a new crop of babies and young adults. This is the classic epidemiological study. The cycle was absolutely predictable until the vaccine was available. Now, measles in the Faroes is a thing of the past. So yeah, we're predictable, and often so are natural events. Brian Klaas, a professor in global politics at the University College in London, has written extensively about human predictability. His essay was the source of my question about your location next January. And he notes in the essay that using anonymous cell phone tower data to analyze people's movements, analysts, get this, could accurately predict any given person's general location without tracking their cell phones 93% of the time. Okay? Now, how do I feel about this? Well, it's disturbing to me that large corporations know what I want almost before I do. That without knowing me in any meaningful way, someone can predict where I'll be 93% of the time. And although sometimes it's humorous, it's pretty annoying that my partner often knows quite accurately what I'm going to say before I open my mouth. It makes me feel as though I'm little more than a mechanical man, and I dislike it intensely. And I'm guessing from the reaction in the audience that I'm not alone in this, okay? So Professor Klaas makes an interesting point about that 93% predictability. Here's his quote: "Most of the important events that change our lives don't happen when we follow our routine movements, and this leads to a profound truth. What's most predictable is often the least important." End quote. I'll comment on the truth later. I disagree with it. So, chance. What about the other 7%? So in medicine, chance, the random event that seems rare, marks every day of one's life as a physician, and in my case, pediatrician. It's very different looking from the inside at illness, as I do, rather than from the outside, which is what my patients' parents always did, and probably what most of you do. So here's an example. In our age group, when you hear the word chickenpox, you have a really clear image. You've all seen it, right? Snotty nose, itchy scabby rash, mild fevers, and after about 10 days, your kid's better. Your kid is better. No biggie. Growing up, I lived on a one-block street, Catholic, with 9 houses on each side and 47 kids on the block. When one of our kids got chickenpox in the summer, the parents celebrated, and they had a chickenpox party because they knew sooner or later all of us were going to get it, and nobody wanted their kid to miss school at Our Lady Queen of Peace. But here's what it's like to look at illness from the inside. For every illness, as a pediatrician, I'm aware that events people think are rare happen much more frequently than they know. My adopted daughter contracted chickenpox when she was 3 years old, and she got double pneumonia and was on a ventilator for 8 days, and she almost died. Yes, that happens as well. It's just not common. And there's absolutely no way to predict which child with chickenpox will get pneumonia. Every infectious disease is like that. Every disease is like that. Every single one. Measles is mostly harmless, but 1 or 2 out of every 1,000 people die. And there's zero way to predict it. It's random. Polio actually only causes paralysis in 1 out of every 200 people who get infected. So back in the day, the other 199 wouldn't even know they were infected with polio. They simply had what felt like a stomach flu. Before the vaccine, almost every human being was infected with polio. So in 1948, in one summer, there were 40,000 cases of paralytic polio in the United States, and hospitals filled with iron lungs. We have a member of our congregation who had polio. Who was going to get paralyzed was completely unpredictable and a matter of chance. And the source of the terror was its complete unpredictability. You simply never knew. Now, of course, probability isn't just about infection or disease. My niece's husband was responsible for overall security for the New York Port Authority. And his office was located high up in the North Tower of the World Trade Center. Every Tuesday, he would meet his friend on the ground level for coffee and a chat before heading up to his office. Almost 25 years ago, his coffee partner was late. So John was in the coffee shop rather than in his office when the plane hit on 9/11. Every one of his friends and colleagues on that floor died. It was pure chance that John survived, purely random. Now, I wager every single person in this room has a story that's beyond improbable and has made us wonder how and why we're still alive. So I'll tell you mine. Golden Dome at Notre Dame. At Notre Dame, the post office was right across from the main campus, and there was a crosswalk with a stop sign, and a bus was stopped at the crosswalk, and I shot across in front of the bus just as the driver of a VW Bug decided to pass the damn bus and accelerate through the stop sign. I should have died, but the bumper hit my bike pedal. And instead of pushing me over, it flipped me onto the hood. I did a complete 360 over the top of the car, and I still remember it. And unbelievably, I landed gently on all fives. My hands, my feet, and my butt. No bruises, no scrapes, no apparent injury, nothing. I stood up, walked over, and asked if the driver was okay. My bike wasn't, okay? It's impossible, right? But it happened. So we live in a random sea of absurdly unlikely events, and we even have expressions for them. Not a snowball's chance in hell. When pigs fly, blood from a stone. Makes us feel completely out of control when something like that happens to us. And for good reason. We are. To summarize, both chance and predictability present me, with the same dilemma. I feel as though I have no control. How much control over my life do I really have if practically everything I do is predictable? Doesn't it make me a robot? But how much control do I have if whenever I'm not predictable, everything that happens is random? Am I not simply immersed in chaos at the mercy of the next strong wind? Which is it? Are we programmed machines, or are we victims of random molecular motion? Neither's at all satisfying. Neither allows for the idea that you and I have agency. So, Martin Gardner was the brilliant author of the Mathematical Games column in Scientific American for decades. And in his book, The Whys of a Philosophical Scrivener, he has a chapter entitled Why I Believe in Free Will. And I'm going to quote him. Here's his spin on all this. It's a little long, but I think it's worth it. When we try to define it within a context of determinism, it becomes a delusion, something we think we have but really don't. But if we try to define it within a context of indeterminism, it becomes equally delusory, a choice made by some obscure randomizer in the brain which functions like the flip of a coin. It is here, I'm convinced, that we run into a transcendent mystery. A mystery bound up how we do not know with the transcendent mystery of time. A free will act cannot be fully predetermined, nor can it be the outcome of pure chance. Somehow it's both, somehow it's neither. The question, as H.L. Mencken once put it, is dark, puzzling, and not a little terrifying. My own view, Gardner goes on, which is Kant's, is that there's no way to go between the horns. The best we can do, we who are not gods, is, Kant wrote, to comprehend its incomprehensibility. The only solution to the problem of free will is to admit that we cannot know the solution. I do not mean it has no solution, only that if it has one, you and I cannot know it. We don't even know exactly how to put the question. Maybe God knows, maybe God doesn't. Whereof one cannot speak, one had best keep silent. Gardner. I hold the same belief, that free will is real but unprovable. And I doubt there's a human being alive that truly believes they have no choice in their actions. They may say they believe it, they write books about it, but then they choose butter instead of margarine in the grocery store, right? The more meaningful question by far for me is this: how do I rescue myself from the helplessness I might easily feel caught between determinism and rolls of the dice? Between these two sea monsters of automaton and accident, there are dual deep realities. One, does predictability mean lack of control? Well, remember, Klaus says that the most important events in our lives happen when we're not following our routine. So what's most predictable is often least important. And I'm here to tell you that I was in my normal routine when I was hit by that VW. But I disagree with Klaus for a different reason. I think, and this is the crux of the talk, I think that our normal routine is essential to who we are, and that it often contains some of the most meaningful and important events in our lives. So, we're predictable. Of course, how could it be otherwise? But what does that mean exactly? We break bread with family. We make love when the power fails. We meet in fellowship once a week. We laugh over coffee or tea on Thursdays. We share one another's tears and heartbreak and farewells and bienvenidos. We live love. And in doing so, we nourish one another on the journey home. Sharing reminds us that we all travel the same ultimate path, and that gives us the courage and sustenance we might not otherwise have. The predictable ritual of our shared lives is exactly what makes us so uniquely human and binds us together. These commonplace happenings are among the most important. This is a cause for celebration. 2, does randomness mean lack of control? So, yeah, we're subject to crazy random events in our lives. Of course, how could it be otherwise? But what does that mean exactly? The word random implies chance, the unplanned, accident, serendipity. These are words that shape all the dimensions of our existence, the space and time we inhabit. Unanticipated events give us the colors and shapes and landscapes that teach and mold us for good and ill. Without accident, we can never experience surprise. And because of it, sometimes we experience things that we can share with joy or grief. And sometimes we experience things that cannot be shared. Not because we wouldn't want to, but in the deepest sense, no one can possibly encounter another's illness, or loneliness, or failure, or success, or gratitude, or love, or hate, Others may stand beside us, but we must undergo such things on our own. These moments are what give us our individuality. And they are also a holy part of being human. This is also a cause for celebration. Predictability and randomness are the complementary partners that show us who we are. They educate us if we let them. They entertain and entice us. They give us friendship and love. They create the space that helps us to understand that we are alone and yet not. They provide the irony and the humor and the hurt and the regret and the joy that inhabit all of us. They are gifts, not burdens, and they're reasons to be grateful.
Our closing hymn is Gather the Spirit. Please rise in body or in spirit and join us in singing. Lovely song, but if we don't know the tune, it's a little hard to hum along. Okay. One more poem. God Speaks to Each of Us by Rainier Maria Rilke.
God speaks to each of us before we are, before he's formed us. And then in cloudy speech, but only then, she speaks these words to us and silently walks with us from the dark.
Driven by your senses, dare to the edge of longing. Grow like a fire's shadow-casting glare behind assembled things so you can spread their shapes on me as clothes. Don't leave me bare. Let it all happen to you, beauty and dread. Simply go. No feeling is too much, and only this way can we stay in touch. Near here is the land that they call life. You'll know when you arrive by how real it is. Give me your hand. Now let us extinguish our chalice with these words, which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world. And if we're
bows of angel hair and ice cream castles in the air and feather canyons everywhere. I've looked at clouds that weep, but now they only block the sun. They rain and snow on everyone. So many things I would have done, but clouds got in my way. I've looked at clouds from both sides now, from up and down, and still somehow it's cloud illusions. I recall I really don't know clouds at all. Moons and Junes and Ferris wheels, the dizzy dancing way you feel as every fairy tale comes real. I've looked at love that way, but now it's just another show. You leave 'em laughing when you go, and if you care, don't let them know. Don't give yourself away. I've looked at love from both sides now, from give and take, and still somehow it's love's illusions. I recall I really don't know love at all. Tears and fears and feeling proud to say I love you right out loud. Dreams and schemes and circus crowds, I've looked at life that way, but now old friends are acting strange. They shake their heads, they say I've changed. Well, something's lost, but something's gained in living every day. I've looked at life from both sides now, from win and lose, and still somehow it's life's illusions. I recall I really don't know life at all.
Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose. Thank you.